Montecito, California. What began as a relatively benign protest outside the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's opulent Montecito compound quickly devolved into an almost surreal scene of incensed chaos as a growing throng of angry locals turned on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, demanding the exiled royals be metaphorically shut off and immediately shipped back to Britain. The dramatic unrest erupted just after dawn Tuesday when a modest group of around 30 sign-wielding demonstrators first assembled across from the couple's $14.7 million mansion to vocalize frustrations over Harry and Meghan's personal chef, Epsy Mendoza, abruptly resigning her position after only 18 months. Multiple former palace workers had quickly leaked accusations to mainstream and social media claiming the Colombian-born cook fled due to enduring relentless harassment and bullying behavior from the famously mercurial Duchess over everything from mishandled vegan tart crusts to improperly cleaning the industrial Le Creuset pots. Chef Epsy deserved so much better than getting psychologically terrorized into quitting by these two spoiled, colonialist ghouls haunting our idyllic community like some woke Amityville possession, fumed Helen Ellery Potts, one of the initial protest organizers staging the so-called Mendoza Mendacity demonstration bright and early on the sidewalk outside Harry and Meghan's 7.4-acre estate. "We may dwell amidst opulence and gossamer curtain fabrics here in upscale Montecito," the 38-year-old bottled water company heiress proclaimed into a bullhorn while hoisting a sign urging, "Eat the tarts, Meghan." But that certainly doesn't entitle these two pretentious anchor babies to gleefully bilk another hard-working ethnic minority out of their livelihood just for lukewarm gazpacho or some similarly microaggressive slight. Initially, the disgruntled yet relatively tame protest appeared well within the boundaries of lawful community grievance typically afforded high-profile celebrity residents throughout the ultra-wealthy Santa Barbara enclave. Several passing motorists merrily honked in a show of solidarity while local news reporters diligently documented the mounting demonstrations outside Meghan and Harry's security perimeter. But according to eyewitness accounts, the simmering tensions began boiling over once the Duchess herself emerged from within the estate's Spanish colonial architecture at approximately 7:15 a.m., apparently to accept an environmentally sustainable produce delivery while flanked by a personal cameraman filming her for an upcoming online veganism presentation. Despite maintaining her typical regal composure at the outset, Meghan wasted little time escalating matters by dictatorially commanding the growing protest mob to cease disrupting her private property before attempting to visually shame them into dispersal by pointing her cameraman's lens squarely at the demonstration's de facto leaders. "She just stood there staring directly at us with those cold, reptilian Hutu eyes of the hauntingly undead and insisted her cameraman capture close-up glamour shots of our faces so every protester's address could later be cyberdoxed," recounted longtime Montecito resident Srikalingam Sawyer, a respected local conductor. "Honestly, I nearly soiled myself under that withering, dystopian gaze entirely devoid of human empathy." Sawyer went on to describe how Meghan then instructed the produce delivery man to mutter the decidedly non-vegan racial slur, Oreo, under his breath while unloading his sustainable provisions, presumably in a bid to provoke further confrontation with the irate demonstrators. Her motivations, however, remain unclear. The unmitigated gall of that globalist shrew leveraging a minority laborer for calculated race-baiting tactics against her own mistreated people, all for the sake of petty reality TV brinkmanship, utterly appalled and offended my every last ethical sensibility, Sawyer breathlessly confessed. Expectedly, Meghan's audacious deflection attempts only inflamed demonstrators into more outrage, ratcheting the tenor of protests into a near frenzy of chaotic showering from fruit rinds, melted brie wedges, and soylent-based projectiles hurled over the estate's security barriers. Within minutes, hundreds more area residents began flocking to the compound to join the swelling impromptu revolt against the royals' purported abusive behavior. One minute, I was sipping a nutritious superfood shake and listening to a Sanskrit meditation loop, and the next, I look out my kitchen window and is what appears to be the entire proletariat rising up against the bourgeois imperialist oppressors next door bombarding their villa with compostable ammunition, remarked local life coach Jane Murray, who spontaneously abandoned her breakfast nook to join the frothing throngs after witnessing the mayhem unfold. By mid-morning, police had been summoned to control the rabid crowds, who only continued metastasizing by the hundreds into a full-blown riotous rampage chanting for the Duke and Duchess eviction from Montecito under slogans like, "Off with their crowns," and "You'll get no royal crumpets here." Local authorities say efforts to de-escalate the pandemonium reached an apex of futility when a haughty Prince Harry emerged shirtless on the roof wielding a large menacing spear while daring the masses to "send whomever ye may to dethrone me." The riled group moved towards storming the royal compound, so this chiseled ginger bloke started descending a stairwell entirely unclothed, sporting a massive totem pole symbolizing his infinite male privilege or some similarly perverted idolatry, Los Padres Police Chief Owens described of Prince Harry's stunning shaman visage. Extremist groups were calling for revolt, incensed gawkers were reveling in the public degeneracy. It just capped off a morning straight out of the Lord of the Flies for our sleepy coastal community. The former British Army captain struck such a fearsome pagan spectacle. Several officers eventually succeeded in coaxing him back inside as an easily suggestible mystic banished from Commonwealth Eden, by sounding air horn whale calls and ceremonially offering a PB&J pouch as symbolic tribute from his terrestrial subjugates. Additional backup soon arrived to forcibly dislodge the teeming hordes under threat of mass arrests as total chaos enveloped the neighborhood. As smoke billowed against an idyllic Santa Barbara sky and overturned eco-hybrids smoldered in residential driveways, waves of radicalized MAGA supporters and Antifa insurgents inexplicably descended on the coordinates carrying pole-mounted Trump flasks and self-immolating flags, only adding more surreal anarchy to the rapidly escalating street battle royale. By the time a fleet of Black Hawk helicopters were reportedly authorized to start indiscriminate aerial pelting of organic seed pods at 4 p.m., an estimated 3,000 rioters were actively engaged in a full-scale assault against Prince Harry's Adobe Palace while demanding his indigenous phallic monolith be melted down and bronzed into a monument depicting 4 resurrected light-skinned visages: Princess Diana, Mother Teresa, Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Bob Marley. As dusk set in, neither the dauntless Montecito revolutionaries nor besieged royal family evidenced any signs of capitulation or exhaustion in their mutually scorched campaign to claim sovereignty over the disputed 93,108 territories. In fact, at press time, Prince Harry had apparently leveraged connections to Mexico's Guadalajara cartel for resupplying his dwindling quiver of spears and intimidating militia enforcers to fortify the estate's ramparts, while the so-called Monty Citizens Vegan Uprising mulled reinforcements from former representational comedienne Kathy Griffin to personally negotiate surrender terms. Though municipal officials project a prolonged standoff appears inevitable at this stage, they also concede the ensuing urban conflagration may prove too volatile to contain before the parties reach some disavowed truce. Perhaps Harry and Meghan's only recourse could involve defecting under cover of darkness to one of their remaining Commonwealth harbor nations should the Montecito resistance achieve its ultimate objective. "It's just total pandemonium at this hour," Santa Barbara County Fire Captain Arsenault stated during an interview outside the still-encircled Montecito estate as terrifying explosions echoed through the lavish canyon for miles. "In nearly 3 decades of service, I've never quite witnessed such a grotesque dismantling of law, order, and our fundamental social fabric. Our once sleepy little paradise has basically transformed into Fallujah 2.0 overnight."